Scarborough, now it's called Don Montgomery. And on a Tuesday night, I take the subway because I still don't have a car to drive. And then it's right there. It's right at Kennedy Station. So it's very convenient. We have a practice with the squad, but those guys are partying on the weekends. And then we have to play with 5 players for a 60-minute game because they're partying. They don't even come to the games. But when they do, they're just like terrorizing the other teams. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I can do what I want. I don't have to fight. Like, so it was kind of like crappy, but the hardest part, I think, of juvenile was my last year, and it takes us kind of to what happened in and around 2002, was I couldn't go to games as much because I started working at Via Rail. As a red cap baggage, I was supposed to be a red cap handler, but I ended up being a courier. They were doing the Via Pack courier program in the early 2000s. And that really broke my heart because it was like, I'd always been taught like, hey, you commit to a team, you go to practice, you go to games. And I couldn't do it. I had to work. And I was like, damn, like, this is it. This is my like overage year. And it's like, damn, like now I have to work and I'm still drinking and smoking up and stuff. So that was like real life, let's just say, was kind of starting to kind of wag its finger towards me.
Yeah. Circling back to 2002, tell us more about what it meant to visit Laxo and Sulico for the first time. So you didn't grow up, or you weren't born in Sulico, you were born in Toronto, were you? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So I did. I grew up at Brunswick and Bloor in the Annex in Toronto, Palmerston Public School, over in Seaton and Village. And and then that comes back to 2002, the title of the talk, that I'd been fired from Via Rail for going to the Montreal-Toronto game. It was literally February 2002. Like, yeah, I abandoned my Saturday night shift. And the, you know.
You gotta say, in this room, that's a pretty good excuse.
You know, I'd do it again. Yeah, we got our priorities straight. And, but it was so perfect. Like, I was literally cleaning out the stuff in my office there. I'm like, oh, like, damn it. And my dad calls me, pick up my cell phone. He goes, hey kid, how you doing? And like, you know, we talked a decent amount, but like there would be months of stretches of like not chatting to my dad. Didn't grow up with him too much, but we were always connected. But this was a moment, and he goes, hey, I heard you got fired. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right, Pop. Okay. Well, listen, why don't you come up north? Come, we'll get your status card. Hey, you need your status card to play in the Northern Bands hockey tournament. It's a community-based tournament, and you're gonna be a hockey star for Lac Seul. And hey, one day that card might help you get into school too. Oh, okay, Dad. I basically knew immediately that I was gonna go. And I'd never, apart from my mom took me on the train to Vancouver and back when I was like 7, I'd never actually been to like sort of like Thunder Bay, Sioux Lookout, Lac Seul. And I did. I was like, that was the moment, eh? So 24-hour train, you know, and it was just something else. You just get to meet people. You're just thinking about your life. You're just like, I've got more to give. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do, but I just have to stop this, like the drinking cycle, basically. That was what was happening. That was the hardest on me. And yeah, they expedited my status card. I had to get my dad put on the long form birth certificate. That's fucking being a legal Indian, right? Like, yeah. It's hardcore. Like, I twice had to acquire very federal and international documents to play hockey. So more on that in a minute. But I just started to feel good about myself. Hey, he was right. Get out of the city, be around the family, like all my aunts and cousins. We won the junior tournament. It was the last year they did the junior tournament. We started the men's tournament with a team called the Lac Seul Stars, like 0-2 or 0-3. And I came home crying one day to my aunt's place, and then we ramped it up and lost. But anyways, it was just, I did that for the next 2 winters. I took that same train, 02, 03, 04. I spent like 6-7 months in the north. which kind of takes us up to 2003-ish, 4-ish, I think.
So you wound up with the Brantford Blast playing in the Allen Cup, and then the University, the UT Varsity Blues. So how did that happen?
Yeah, it's like, the outlier, you know, like those, that's me, because I just showed up to the Brantford Blast open tryouts in 03 and had a pretty good tryout. And I only stuck around for 9 games. Jay Wells just said, you know, we're going to move on from you here. And I just looked him in the eyes and I shook his hand. I said, you know, I'm going to get to where I need to go and whatever. Thanks for this opportunity. It's really no problem, no worries. Cool, you know. Because obviously any team is like, especially Allen Cup, come January, they're going to bring in guys with more experience than me. I'm 21 in Allen Cup. You are the youngest person probably legally allowed to play Allen Cup. And I'm like, there's crazy guys skating around. It wasn't as crazy as it used to be. And I think now it's not as crazy as it was then, because it's just really good hockey, but like, it's not just like super fighty and violent, but they're hardcore dudes that if something happens, there will be like fisticuffs. Anyways, but yeah, I got cut from there and I was like, all right, what next? And I kind of was just like, I'd gotten into the University of Toronto for the 03-04 academic year, but I kind of decided when I made Brantford that I was going to put another year of sobriety under my belt, which was also happening at that time. I quit drinking on January 1st, 2003 at Dufferin Grove Ice Arena, like literally playing hockey with my last tall boy Heineken on the ice. It's like
On the ice?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that's like, that was the perfect, it's easy to track your sobriety date when it's on the New Year's too. You know, so yeah, and then, so it was good actually to get that extra year of sobriety under my belt. And because I never graduated high school, I was in this transitional year program, right. University of Toronto, which was designed for like Black folks, Indigenous folks, pretty much anyone who the education system just didn't kind of line up maybe with learning styles. You know, I am learning neurodivergent, found out 3 years ago. So hockey's always helped with learning and school and stuff. But yeah, when I had a lot of success when I got into the university and made the get that for you.
Oh, sorry.
I made the Varsity Blues as a walk-on. There was 2 of us that made it as walk-ons, me and Mark Wright. I don't know, the funny story was I'm at a face-off with Mark, and like nobody makes it from the walk-on tryouts. Like you got to really, really do something serious. And I look at Mark and I said, hey, we got to show coach we really want it. So before the puck drops, hey, we're just going to cross-check each other like hard in the arm and stuff. So we're just there, just giving it to each other. And they're like, oh, coach is going to notice that. But what also kind of the stars lined up for me was the summer before 04, I played in the Spencer Hockey Co. It's like a pro hockey tournament in Brampton, and we won it. We had a team like Corey Pecker. I know everyone in this room, you guys know your hockey. Corey Pecker was on our team. One of my childhood buddies, Darcy Morris, he captained the Peets. He was on the team, and we just had these like U Sports, CIS, NCAA, and my buddy was the goalie, who Morgan Smetana played in Brantford and Cambridge Hornets. We won the tournament. Ben Barrett was the assistant coach at U of T, and I told him, I said, Benny, I don't know, man, if you can tell coach I'm coming to the camp in the fall, like just stick your neck out for me if you don't mind. And he kind of just looked at me and didn't say anything, because like his career was ending. So I think he was sad about that. And he never told me like if he did say anything to the coach about like, this guy's a pretty good player, give him a look. He probably did. But I left a message with coach before the open trial, and I just said, I wrote it down on a paper too. I was like, hi Coach Lowe, my name's Mike Auksi, 6 feet, 202 pounds. I had a few games with the Brantford Blast Allen Cup last year, and I look forward to seeing you at open tryouts. Okay? When there was like 5 minutes to go in the open tryout, Ben, who was on the bench, the assistant coach goes, all right, fellas, You got 5 minutes left. If you're going to do something, do it now. And it was like the perfect prompt because I was like, holy fuck, he's right. It's only an hour tryout. No, none of us are going to make it. And I just pick up the puck at the red line and just like one guy hooks me, throw it off. Head fake one guy, come down, tuck the puck in on the ice, backhand, come around the ice like Jean Rattel, tapping the boards. And that probably helped. And I was the last guy to see coach after the showers. How did you think you did? I'm like, I did pretty good, but I got more to give. He gives me that smile, Darren Lowe. I'm gonna give you another chance.
Oh, nice.
Like Rudy, yeah. So and I don't make that team, and nothing happens. You know, it's always like that. You know.
Yeah. So how long you played for the Varsity Blues for 3 seasons, was it?
Yes,
Yeah,
there's
but then
statistics and videos for 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's good. And
it was great.
But you transferred over to was it TMU at the time, or was it Ryerson?
It was still Ryerson at the time. Oh yeah, 07, 08.
Yeah. So so what happened? What was your experience at Ryerson with the Rams?
Even the transfer story is kind of funny too, because it was like, I trained so hard before the 06, 07 season, you know. Physically, you can do anything you want, but to make up those missing junior years, very, very hard to do. And every team that is serious is always bringing in excellent players. And Darren brought in Eddie Snetzinger, amazing hockey player, amazing hockey family. Andre Robichaud, 4 years at Dalhousie. I ain't taking any ice from that beautiful man. And I remember being so depressed after training camp in the first 3 games. I'm like, it's not going to happen here. And I was in bed for like a week. I swear to God. Yeah. When you talk about your identity as a player, that was me, fully invested and not really experienced enough to understand there was more to life than my sport. And I was like, okay, I'm going to Ryerson. They only have 2 lines. They stink. And it's down the street. How lucky can I be? You know, and I talked.
Is it that easy?
Then it was. I talked to Steve Schabbert one day when we were playing at George Bell. And he was from Sioux Lookout too, so I acknowledged my connections to Sioux Lookout, and he was obviously a great player. He says, you're looking for ice time? This is where you want to go. I was like, I understand. I emailed Graham Wise. Yeah, this is who I am. I want to come play here. And he's like, all right. And then I tell Darren, I'm like, Darren, I don't want to be tampering or anything, but I did email Graham. He goes, hey, thanks for telling me. Like, I'll talk to Graham, and if that's what you want to do, it's okay. I said, hey, thanks, Darren. Thanks, coach. And then the last thing I ever said to Darren was, he just said, hey, we trained you for 3 years, and I don't want you to go, but I wish you the best, just not against us. Yeah. And so I got to play, and the CIS at the time, like U Sports now, I got on a big call, conference call, and they're just like, you're transferring schools, usually you have to wait a whole year before you can play, unless you're doing a higher education degree, which was not the case for me. They says, well, the ruling came down just a few days later, and I just said, I was like, I want to be a social worker and help my people as opposed to an Indigenous Studies degree, which is kind of a lie because I wanted more ice time. But fuck. I'm not in university for work. I'm here for hockey. So many of us, that's the case. And as you get to your upper level undergrad years, you start to kind of see like, hey, there's some good opportunities here after sports. Then they made the decision that was like, we're going to burn a year of your eligibility for like 2 or 3 exhibition games, which didn't even matter in the end, but we're going to let you start the season right away. So even though I played in the Thunder Bay Christmas T-Bay-Tel Cup or whatever, they let me start right away, which was so huge. Yeah. It would have really screwed me over to not momentum. Oh yeah. And then my 1 full year, blah, blah. And the big night, February 9th, 2008, I got the shootout winning goal against those Blues. And,
really?
Oh yeah. That was the coolest night. And
you talked to Darren after? No. I saw him at a St. Mike's Buzzers game, but we didn't say nothing. But he didn't look too mad.
But it was like, I demanded that Graham Wise put me in the shootout, not to stick it to U of T, but I just kind of wanted to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And he still picked Grant Buckley, third round, who scored. Joe Rand, my Estonian buddy, missed. I scored. Eddie Snetzinger misses. You know, the kid who took my spot doesn't win it. And he was crying in the line after, and I still feel bad about it because he's so passionate, and that guy was a great player. But that was my night. Yeah, my night.
Yeah.
And I'll share the video with you guys and tell you, I'll tell you the story another time about how the video came into my possession. Everybody's booing me when I go to skate in. Obviously, I'm the traitor. It's fine. That's sports. But when it shows that I was the one who was the difference maker, everyone's cheering because they can't be mad at me because I did everything right. And that's beautiful. And that meant a lot to me. So I'll share that with everyone later.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Little clips spliced up by my buddy.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So presumably you graduate and then you wind up somehow in Czechia at Česká Lípa. Where does that leap come from?
Yeah, like, you know, it's funny, like, cause when like social media was starting to come around and stuff, and like all of a sudden you could just kind of like contact people like anywhere. You try to email teams, coaches, but it usually, if you want to go somewhere, you kind of gotta like know someone. Otherwise, it's just like, who the hell are you? Unless you just show up, and which is always an option for players. Just the hell go somewhere with your gear. But there was a guy named Peter Fermanek, and he'd had like a cup of coffee in like the O2 Czech top league with like Praha, like the big like the Prague team. And he was kind of like a player agent guy, and he was the management wanted him to get like top European, North American guys. And his buddy, more of a lacrosse guy, Jamie Plunkett, stuck his neck out for me. He's like, this guy's good. You're gonna like this guy. So I go over there, like just on a flyer, like one-way ticket, like I don't care. I'm taking a break from school. I took third year undergrad at then Ryerson off, and it was all right. I mean, the hockey, like third division Czech is like the top line and a half could go toe to toe with like a bottom U sports team. So it's Czechia. They're still serious about hockey, but the depth guys are just kind of like what we would refer to as like beer league dudes. But again, they're men, they're hockey players. They love it. They're playing for their town if they live there. So it's amazing. But the hotel, it was like staying at the Waverly, kind of, not exactly, but it just wasn't, it's like a 30-minute walk to the rink. We don't got bikes. Bikes would have made a difference. Language barrier. I don't know when I'm going to get paid. I signed this contract like in my gear that I can't even read. And ask me about that when we get to Estonia and how that contract kind of sort of jammed me up a bit. But I don't know. I came home after a month because I just was like, I don't see it happening here, honestly. Like, and then my mom, she kind of was always thinking about me, said, what would you do if I couldn't get you back right now? Because it's like a fucking $1,000, $1,200 to like get back. I said, Mom, I'd make it. I'd survive. I'd play hockey and I'd make it. I don't like it here. I don't know why. I have to come home. I'm done with hockey. Like, that's it. It's over. That's cool. Which didn't last very long in terms of my first retirement.
So how much, do you remember how much they paid you in the Czech third league?
Well, I actually never
offered to pay you, whether or not you actually got paid.
Jesus, I mean, I don't even know, because it was like Czech crowns or something. And like, we took off before the home opener on the Saturday. Me and Andy Boudreau, Bruce's son, and me and him had a good time, but like, we were just like, this is not like what we thought. Yeah. And it was what it was, but I don't remember, but it wasn't going to be a lot. But it was a beautiful town. The teammates were cool. We could have made it work in retrospect, but there was something was missing.
Yeah, cool. So that you weren't done with Europe though. You wind up in Estonia. with the Estonian Ice Hockey Association.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that was kind of cool, because again, it was Facebook. Like, you could start contacting people. Like, Ahti Jyrki was like, he was doing play-by-play and stuff, and his son, I think, is a goalie. But he goes, yes, Michael, we can, basically, long story short, it was like, yeah, like, I got my EU Estonian citizenship because my mother and parents had their, passport thing, or it was obvious that I was Estonian on my mom's side. You go through the consulate, the Estonian House Toronto, and so that makes traveling easier. You can start becoming eligible to represent that nation of which you're not born. But I showed up to training camp, and I had barely slept before I hit the ice, which was like, I like those feelings. Like when you go across the pond and have to right away hit the ice, it's like nothing else. Or if you're jet lagged and have to play a hardcore game, those are like the coolest moments. But I made a good impression. I played in one game against a Belarusian pro team, HK Vitebsk something, and did really well. Didn't get to play against the Finnish junior, like, B team, like the number 2 junior Finnish national team. And because they're like, you're not eligible. We told you have to play 2 years before you can play. We need to see who's going to Ukraine for the Worlds. I'm like, it's fine, coach. Listen, whatever. I'd rather play, but no problem. That was my first time in Estonia, and that's 2011. I am still 29. Okay. Come back home, get my bachelor's, come back home, get my master's from Ryerson in social work, which was quite important to me, because by that time I was starting to realize, get that master's graduate degree, open up the door later. It was a 1-year, 3-semester program. But yeah, and then, one-way ticket to Tallinn to start those 2 years. I get cut from the first team, and I'm ordered to move out of the hotel at noon the next day. I'm like chain smoking cigarettes with the cleaning ladies. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm fucked, girls. Sorry for swearing. But I mean, in that moment, you're just like, I can't believe I didn't make that team. And they had a nice team. It was the Viking sport in Estonia, and I didn't make it. And but Tallinn Panthers, Panther, did take me. And when it was time to sign with them and get my international transfer card, which is a really confusing system, like limited transfer card, unlimited transfer card, I don't know. And 800 Swiss francs for this or that.
So was that transferring from Canadian? So no, what were you transferring?
Czechia.
From Czechia, okay.
And they were holding me hostage. Oh yeah. So people here would understand the issue of like player mobility and the way players are controlled, right? Austin Matthews, as an American, can go play in Switzerland as his pre-NHL, right? Major junior can't always move as much around. Sometimes they can, but whatever, I'm no one. But Czechia is saying, hey, he is gonna pay back the thing and another 800 Swiss francs, so pay double. And Estonia was like, well, we've never had any money. He's a nice boy and a good enough player.
We like him, but
it's fine. But like, no, we're just gonna pay you back and then pay IIHF the transfer card. So it ends up being double, and they do it. Okay. And I think UC Neiman, my teammate, was friends with Jokinen from the Penguins, I think, who got 2 Malkin signed Bauer Supreme sticks, which fundraised half of it. So it ended up being only 1 fee. But that's what they do. Those smaller countries, I'm telling you, like, they just find ways. Ain't no money. And I was put up in an apartment for my family for the 2 years I was there. You pay internet, water's kind of expensive, but gas, electricity. I got a job as teaching kids tennis conditioning, not technical tennis. 40 euros an hour, which is an incredible wage. 4 hours a week. That is more than enough money I need. Personal train at a gym with no certification. I'm just Canadian hockey guy, right? But it is a good quality of life. 3 practices a week, 1.5 games a week. It was perfect just to play on the national team.
Yeah, so you did it, what, a couple years with the Panthers, and then, yeah, how did you get onto the national team? What was that like, playing for a national team?
Yeah, I mean, like, they knew that's what I was doing, and
Like biding your time?
yeah, and I'd had a much better first season. I think I got homesick in the second season. Then I was like, Christmas time, I was at the sauna at the rink. How Estonian is that, eh? And Robbie Roba, one of the greatest, if not the greatest player to come from Estonia, he was home for a visit. I think he was for Espoo Blues at the time in the Finnish league. And he goes, Mikey, hey, you're going to get ready for World Championships? Hey, tryouts coming up in early April. I said, I don't know what it'll be. I'm kind of tired. Emotionally, I'm not ready. He goes, it's Division 1B. Just be ready. That was all I needed. And Robbie he was kind of a more quietly kind of leader, but I don't even know to this day if he knows how big that impacted me, because I was like, fuck, he's right. All this way, why would I not now? But I missed home, And then, whatever, I get the call. I was at the gym after training one day, and the guy calls me, Rainer. He goes, hey, congratulations, we're inviting you to the camp. I was like, really? Okay, I was fired up. But yeah, and if you make the team, you get 400 euros. I'm like, well, there goes my amateur status, eh? But yeah, I mean, I was like, all right. And I had a good playoffs and a good last part of the season after Robbie's talk and thing. I went bar down in the playoffs. Oh, I was so badass. But I got in such good shape. I shaved the mohawk into my head because I just wanted to show them that I was like, actually, like, I'm going to do anything I need to do. Nobody wants it as much as me. And when I showed up in like just insane shape, it was like amazing. And I got pulled out of the first game after the first period against Mestis, Finnish second division team. And my teammate, let's just call him Puru, you know who you are. And he goes, what's wrong? What's wrong? You're injured. What's wrong? I said, Puru, I made it. They don't have to see any more than that first period. He's evaluating like Robushkin and those guys now. He goes, you sure? Well, no, but yeah, I played good, you saw. And so whatever, and just, I don't know, because you always think back, you're like, holy fuck, what if I didn't make it? Hey, that would have sucked. But there's no choice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a cool story. What's the, do you wind up scoring for the team? You wind up making the team, and you go into the qualification for Pyeongchang. Tell us about what happened there. Did you do well?
Yeah, not so bad. I mean, it's like Estonia is we're just really in limbo. We need a goalie to come out of somewhere, even if it's someone like me with an Estonian passport, that we really need a goalie to come step right in and steal a couple for us. But I got like 1 assist, I think, in the World Championships that year, Eindhoven, Netherlands, and then my 1 goal. And please don't laugh if I say my 1 goal was in like a 27-1 drubbing of oh my goodness, Israel, Mexico. I'm so embarrassed. Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Yeah. One-timer from the blue line. It was a rocket. Don't get me twisted. But the forwards are all fucking point night. They're just racking up points. I'm like, hey, feed the blue line, boys. The defensemen want their cookies too. Holy shit, you selfish little. Sorry for swearing so much, but and I didn't want goals. I didn't want glory. I was playing, and like all the kids that I used to coach are watching me, like, and the problem with like a 27-1 win or 26-0 over Israel, they didn't have their best team.
Yeah.
They didn't have my friends from Toronto. Mexico, they paid their own way. And when the young Estonian guys are laughing at watching the other practice, I said, hey, you guys, wipe those smiles off your faces right now, and you show respect to those nations, and for those reasons, and watch what happens next tournament. you might not be on this team next tournament. Yes, sir. Like, you teach them respect.
Yeah.
Because I understand it and that. So, yeah, 1 goal, 1 assist, good enough.
Yeah. So did you I guess, is Estonia, like the Olympic cycles, I guess, are really important to the national teams, or is it World Championships? You decide to leave, come back to Canada. At that point, you've had enough at a certain point? Or?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. So like the Group H Olympic qualifying for Pyeongchang 2018 took place in February 2016. The one with Israel, Bulgaria, Mexico was November 2015. So it all happens obviously well in advance of the games. And then, yeah, we got to play like Poland, Hungary, Lithuania. My last game was a victory against our Baltic rivals. Coach, we're in the lobby of the hotel and they're sitting on the couch. He goes, "Hey, are you coming back for another World Championship in 2 months?" No. He goes, "Oh, okay. I respect that." I go, "Thanks very much." There was nothing left to learn. It was just a perfect kind of like, cool, I can do other things now. So, yeah, because I knew I would have been so stressful. And it's just that whole amateur athlete of like, you are working a full-time job and training like a pro. You got to be in bed by like 10 o'clock, up at 6, work your job. It's so noble.
Yeah.
And anybody who goes to those U Sports games like we went to last night, hey, we saw a wonderful comeback from a dominant McGill team. I'm a proud McGill PhD student, but there's no money. They're playing because they love it. And it's just the coolest thing. And I'm happier watching that hockey sometimes than the pros even, because they're just living their dreams, and furthering their education.
So how did you tell us about that transition from athlete, from probably hitting the apogee of your career, right? Playing for a national team, which I don't know how many people in the room here have done. And then going back to kind of shifting gears back to the academic. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the jobs that I was holding, even while doing the Olympic qualifying, was with Native Child and Family Services in Toronto. It was like tailor-made job for me, recreation coach. Fucking sports social worker.
Yeah.
Perfect. But it's a stressful job too. It's contract. And I didn't sign the 3rd year shortly after I stopped hardcore hockey. And then I reached out to a former mentor of mine, Dr. Suzanne Stewart, is the director of the Waakabaness Bryce Indigenous Public Health at U of T. She goes, "Oh yeah, like I'm sure we can find something." I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. And I ended up working there for 2 years. One day I'm just like, "Suzanne, can I take the Friday off? There's this International Hockey Research Network, Indigenous Hockey Research Network happening in Kingston, February 28 to March 1st in 2019. And I meet my supervisor there. My now supervisor, Sam McKegney, Bobby Henry, Kaylee Armstrong, George Armstrong's granddaughter, and become aware of the opportunities that could emerge in academia. And by January 2020, I'm a PhD student at McGill.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what's your project? Like what's the people I know who do PhDs and succeed at them? They have a passion for a particular topic. What's your topic? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. So it was actually my supervisor's suggestion, and he's just like, "Pal, like we're more within the umbrella of sort of kinesiology sciences. We're very sports historians, the sociology of sport, physical culture studies, things of that nature, and so basically it is a hockey history, presence, limitless futures of Lac Seul First Nation hockey, my community."
Yeah.
Dad's born in Sioux Lookout, that railway train station town where my parents met in 78. And kind of like, just to sort of sum it up quick, our ironic hockey creation story takes place at Pelican Lake Indian Residential School. We did play hockey before that, as Robidoux would say, in a more vernacular, unstructured form of the game. That's cool. You know, everybody who loves hockey knows, like playing outdoors, like on a pond, on any sheet of ice. Kids these days on Mars blades and green biscuits, you can do anything you want with this game. You express yourself even just when you're there by yourself. Those are sometimes the best moments. Anyways, 48, the first tryouts for the Pelican Blackhawks happen. You know, there's equipment donations, things are happening. First game, January 1949. Sioux Lookout Blackhawks, 1951. April, same month, almost to the day my dad's born. Dad plays in the 60s. But all our parents and grandparents who played, you know, opened the door for the folks of the third period. I'm skipping ahead of the second period here, but yeah, like, because some of the characteristics of the 2000 to the present are, we play community-based Indigenous hockey, we play mainstream, more settler, you know, spaces of hockey too. It's all good. We skate in two worlds. And then
I love that. I love how we skate in two worlds. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I am the guy of two worlds guy, believe me, right? Mother, blue hair, blonde hair, blue-eyed Estonian lady. And dad is, you know, just a super proud Anishinaabe man from Laval. But what's really cool, and we chatted about it at lunch, was the second period for my study opens in 70, but the catalyzing moment is September 1st, 1968. Pelican Lake Indian Residential School goes from the traditional like boarding, like residential, to the day school program. So all of a sudden, the hockey season of 68-69, my dad's playing on Queen Elizabeth High School. It's the first players to play in like the Minor Hockey Association in Sioux, and Anishinaabe plays for the Kenora Thistles with Charlie Simmer, who goes on to form part of the Triple Crown line. Like, these are so cool stories. And the one more thing I'll say was 1970, a 4-team Indian Friendship Center takes place at the Sioux Lookout War Memorial Arena. It's just the Memorial Arena, but my dad loves that slapshot reference. And by 71 is the inaugural Northern Bands hockey tournament. 8 teams, Slack Sioux among them, Fort Hope among them, don't know who else yet. And I'm gonna play in one more Northern Bands hockey tournament just to win it one more time and just put the stamp on my PhD. And the only reason I went back 2 years ago into the 2022 Northern Bands hockey tournament, we're talking 40 teams. Some of the communities put in 3-4 teams, so it's multiple of nations. But I only came back because I didn't want to compete, but I came back to get that sort of like insider's, researcher's lens. You know, that's me like doing what I need to do to get in with my own teammates. I'm city Laval man, okay? But all that happened was, it was the outsider part of my researcher's objective, like lenses and whatever. All that was just hyper-internalized, and I've since let that go. So that's how close to my life my study is, and that is not a problem at all. And we've got some really amazing things to come out of it, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of work to do in the next year.
Yes. It never ends. Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. That's kind of the end of my questions. I don't know what we're doing for time there, John? 10 minutes? Okay. So we got 10 minutes for any questions, and I have one last one I'll ask Mike afterwards if we don't have anyone filling up the time. Albert?
I've got about an hour of questions.
An hour? You have 2 minutes.
The first one is, when you were playing in Europe, were you able to support yourself from playing hockey, or did you have to work part-time over there?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, that was part of the thing in Czechia, I guess, was like, I'd signed this contract I didn't understand, but because we left like before even the opening game on the Saturday, and they were trying to find us. Like, I was like, oh, I got to log out of my Facebook here. You guys are gonna come find us? We abandoned our team. We kind of felt bad. But no, so Czechia, we really didn't know, like, I didn't know. I was like, okay, like, are they going to give us like food money?